Welcome back to the What Do You Mean podcast.
That's what we are.
It just feels a little weird to say like the What Do You Mean podcast. We usually just say, what do you mean? Anyway.
That's true.
Welcome back. This is Monica.
I'm Ty.
In case you can't tell our voices apart, I know we sound very similar.
Hey, maybe they're new here. Maybe they don't know who we are.
Yeah. Anyway.
Obviously, we sound different unless they're properly tone deaf.
Yeah. Well, if you're new here, welcome and hope you enjoy.
Thanks for joining us.
It's a really pretty day, so hoping we can get in and out.
Spring
you know
is finally here.
It has sprung in Nashville. Hopefully it sticks around. I feel like we keep getting like
I was going to say, it
false
sprung
alarms.
like a month ago for like a week, and then it got real cold. And it's been real cold kind of ever since, and rainy and gross.
But today it's like perfectly sunny, 70s.
Like 75 degrees out.
We're going to go outside after this. So
yeah, we're going to ride bikes for sure.
Let's give a few life updates before we get into today's episode, which in case you hate our life updates and you want to just like skip ahead, we're talking about social media today. So
true.
Something to look forward to.
Lots of fun things to talk about
sometimes, with it. I feel like maybe sometimes some people are like, can you just get to the point?
Yeah, that's fair.
So
but
if that is the case, sorry. We like to talk.
Yeah, but also it's our podcast. So sit there and enjoy it.
So shut up. Just bully them.
Yeah, that's what you come here for. All right, we have one major life update, I think.
Yes. So if you've been listening to the podcast or follow me specifically on Instagram, you know about the pigeon saga. If you're not familiar, basically we have pigeon neighbors that we can see right outside our window.
Their names are Audrey and Greg.
We named them.
They're adorable.
And we watched as they laid eggs. We watch them spend every day together. We've watched as the eggs have probably hatched. We've been a part of this from day one, essentially. And yesterday, or 2 days ago now, I saw with my own eyes for the first time a baby pigeon in the nest. And it was a monumental moment because I think it was a
long-awaited moment, for sure.
And like I said, like we watched the mom laying her eggs. So like we knew, we were pretty certain. We were about 95% sure.
Yeah, we've known for like what, a month?
Yeah.
5 weeks?
Like we knew that babies were in the picture, but we never saw them. But we just assumed based on like the behaviors that we were seeing. But it hadn't been like properly confirmed until 2 days ago. And that was just like perfect confirmation that like we were spot on with everything that we've witnessed. Because from the day we saw the eggs being laid, we looked it up and determined that's probably what was happening.
I was going to say, we frantically Googled a lot about these pigeons.
We've been Googling everything like in real time to figure out like what are these things that they're doing mean? And we were right about everything because I even like traced back the timeline based on how big the baby pigeons looked when I saw them the other day. We traced back to see like when they probably hatched. We were right on with that.
Yep.
And so now it's just a matter of time until we get to watch them leave the nest and spread their wings.
It's been pretty exciting.
It's honestly like one of my favorite pastimes is just looking out the window and seeing the latest with the pigeons.
Yeah, it's kind of fun now too, because I feel like in the past 2 days since they've been more active, like Greg, the dad pigeon, has been like coming home more often throughout the day.
And it's so cute seeing them be like a little family.
Yep. And they'll like switch spots and the pigeons like hang on Audrey's face.
Yeah, they like will literally hang on her face and like pull her face down and she just like lets it happen.
Yeah.
She's
it's like it's funny to see how kids, like babies of all breeds, because puppies do that.
And babies do that. Like they pull on your face, they pull on like your earrings.
Their hair, like
they stick their hands in your mouth.
Yep.
It's so funny.
It's interesting to see that happening in bird form now.
Yeah. They're so cute too.
So unused to it.
They're like fluffy little scrawny things. They're kind of like a light brown, which is interesting because like obviously pigeons are gray.
Yeah.
So it's just really
That's
cute
true.
to see the little
really
fluffy baby.
That. Yeah. They're little fluff balls. But
we have
they also
to name
are like
them.
Skinny ass little necks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have like long skinny necks and you can tell they're like struggling to keep them
just
held
like
up.
Wiggle back and forth all the time.
So cute. I love them. Stay tuned. We'll keep updating you guys. I feel like from here on out, like everything's going to move pretty quickly. Like I bet they'll be big enough to fly soon. And then I don't know, like I was telling Ty the other day, I don't know if they're going to stay. Like I hope the pigeons stay in their nest, but I kind of feel like they might move after that. I don't know how it works, but I don't want them to leave. I love them.
Yeah. I don't know.
Honestly, they have prime real estate right there. I hope they know that and stay.
I'm a little worried that like
with the construction happening.
with all the construction happening, I have been worried this whole time that they're gonna like move the nest or something. Yeah, which would be a shame. But
which they can't do it while they're babies, but maybe when the babies leave.
But that does also make me think maybe once the babies leave, they'll just leave the nest entirely and be like on to somewhere else that is a little less chaotic.
Yeah.
Which is fair, and I hope that happens peacefully.
I will be mourning if that happens. We're drinking mimosas this morning to celebrate.
True. It's springtime, baby.
Celebrate spring, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. All feels right in the world today. Feels like a good morning.
It does. No, I feel like that was the biggest life update, honestly. We haven't been up to much.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we haven't done much.
All right, let's get into it then. We just sit here for a while
Cool. Well, yeah, like we said, I mean, this week we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about social media just because I feel like obviously both of us professionally do a lot of social media stuff, but also the world has been, not to say that the world hasn't been fascinated with social media before this moment, because obviously the past 15 years has been social media exclusively. I feel like right now people are even more heightened awareness of social media, even if you're not on it, just because of the like TikTok trial thing going on, which neither of us know tons about.
Yeah, but I feel like we know enough. And I feel like it's just like wild because this is probably one of the first like big instances where social media is like in government things. You know what I mean? Like
they had the Facebook one a couple, like 2 years ago.
What was that one?
Similar thing. It actually was pretty much the exact same thing. So that's been a big thing with this, where Facebook came under severe heat because of the amount of information that they track, mostly for their ads stuff, because like Facebook is the top dog in
advertising.
Yeah, like in digital advertising, because they have so much data on people that they can curate what types of ads go to what people, and that's a really big deal. It makes their marketing very like helpful for a lot of businesses, but it came under a lot of heat a couple years ago because they weren't sure like just how much information Meta was taking from people and how much of that was legal. And I don't know tons about that trial, but I do remember there being a shit ton of memes of Mark Zuckerberg looking like a robot or a lizard.
I feel like this one is like the big thing is because it's not owned by the US.
Yes.
So it makes it like...
That is exactly it.
But it's just interesting because what's his name? The president of TikTok. I don't know his name.
I don't either. I don't want to get this wrong.
Oh.
Shouzi Chu. Yeah.
Anyway, but the president of TikTok has literally said multiple times, like, it wouldn't serve us to make this like a China thing. You know what I mean? Like, because so many people are using it, and that's like not the purpose of TikTok. It's weird
because TikTok doesn't even exist in China. They have their own version of it. It is owned by ByteDance, the same company, but TikTok as we know it doesn't exist.
Interesting.
It's a different app.
Oh, that's weird.
As far, I might be wrong, but that's what I have come to understand. So it is very odd. I've also heard a lot of stuff, and I don't know how much of this is true, so please someone check me on this, but I've heard that like Meta, Facebook, has done a bunch of lobbying to basically get this trial happening. Because basically, like, if, like you were saying, the big thing with this trial is that it's not an American company. So it's one thing if like Facebook users or Instagram users are spending 8 hours a day on the app, no one really cares because it's like an American thing. The money is circulating in American stuff, you know, all of that stuff. But then TikTok, it's a Chinese company or a Chinese owned company. And so then I feel like Congress is more upset about like, oh, is that fueling another country's economy? It's so weird. Like everything about it, it's just a weird thing. I don't know how much you've seen of the trial.
Not tons. I don't really watch the news, to be honest. And I haven't really seen much about it like on TikTok.
Yeah. Okay. See, I've gotten a bunch of it on TikTok and I don't really know why, because
I bet it would be like all over Twitter, which I am not on.
True.
So.
It's just hilariously entertaining to watch like old white men who only know things about, I saw a thing about a guy that was saying that essentially the only thing congressmen are good at is like winning elections, but they're not even necessarily good at running a country, which is a funny hot take. I don't really know anything about that, so not saying it is anything, but it's funny to think about that when then they're trying to understand how Wi-Fi works. Because one of the biggest clips that I've seen circulated a lot was this guy being like, so does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi? And the the CEO of TikTok is like looking around like, is this an actual question I'm getting asked?
Screaming.
And he's like, yes, if it is connected to the Wi-Fi. And the congressman is like, I'm not going to say up in arms, but he's like essentially looking around like, yeah, that proves my point. And everyone else is like, what? Really? Like, if anything is connected to the Wi-Fi, it's accessing the Wi-Fi. But I think what he's trying to ask is it like stealing information from a house Wi-Fi, a home Wi-Fi situation. It's like just everything about it is hilarious because they don't seem to really know what they're asking.
Yeah, right. Like they don't even know how it works.
Right.
They
and
just
so,
like, yeah.
I think the interesting thing about this one for me is that the CEO actually seems very kind.
I mean, is that shocking that somebody else could be kind?
No, but I think the way, like, if you were to compare it with like the Zuckerberg stuff, like that trial, Zuckerberg always kind of has like a little bit of a, like, he always is a little bit sly in how he responds to things.
Yeah.
So he always seems a little more like condescending, whereas this guy is like genuinely trying to understand what they're asking of him and how he can be helpful. And he's like, we're just trying, like you're saying, like it wouldn't actually benefit us to be giving all this information, like to be a Chinese app. We want to be an American app. We want to serve the American consumer. And it's just hilarious to watch all of this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think like for me, I don't claim to know anything really about government stuff. And like, I'm not a politics person. I don't know. So there's probably like so many things that I don't know. And like, I get that obviously like the whole purpose of this is that like the US, like they want their information and data like protected. Like I get that.
Yeah.
But also it's like, what would they get from us? Like, are they going to get like our bank info? Like, is that what they're scared of? Because like at the end of the day, I'm like, first of all, everybody probably has all my information anyway. I'm on every single platform. But what does China care about me?
Right.
You know? Like, I don't get it. Like, what's the information that they're so scared of being got? Like,
true.
What is, like, I'm sure there's stuff, like, important, like, but what is, like, is China going to steal my identity? Like, I'm so confused. I don't get what is, like, so dangerous.
I think
in that sense.
It's really hard for me to comprehend just because on a micro level, like, what does China care about Ty Combs?
Right.
Or Monica? Or what do you mean? You know, like,
I try not to be, like, ignorant and understand that like it's probably like a greater thing of like having
it's a
the
little bit
Americans' information,
right? Like but as a like, macro, like
is that going to start like a war? Like what's happening?
Yeah, how are you going to weaponize like what?
Are you going to show our searches
to 22-year-olds are like watching on TikTok? Like I don't understand how you can weaponize that, and maybe it's something about like subliminal messaging and like upsetting our political climate. I don't know.
Maybe.
like,
yeah.
Is it is it a propaganda issue? But even so, it's like the algorithm. I don't know. I think a lot of people are upset about like free speech stuff. You know?
Yeah, but it's like so funny because like imagine if they were gonna use like certain information against us and they like put our like TikTok searches or like if they somehow access like our general like Google searches or whatever, and they like displayed that, and mine would literally be like symptoms of IBS. Why am I constipated? Like, it would be just like the dumbest. They would be like, you know what? You can have your information back. We don't want it.
Eyes watering.
Literally. Mine would be like the most pointless things.
Yeah.
I just like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around like what could the bad possibly be, but at the same time I know that like there's so much that we don't know about the government, and like there's so many things that they don't disclose that maybe it's a bigger deal and we don't know about it. But it is funny, like the things about like, does it access the home Wi-Fi, or like just like, not even know it, like the people in power don't even know what they're saying, like
right,
like we don't even know what we're really trying to protect ourselves from. I feel like it's just like, I guess the fear of so many Americans using something that isn't American owned.
Yeah. But at the same time, yeah.
I don't know. All I know is it's crazy, like the impact that TikTok has, that it's like to the point of like being a full on trial versus like us just being like, whatever, if TikTok goes, who cares? But it's like so many people.
It's crazy. Sorry.
I was just going to say like so many people's like incomes and livelihoods come from TikTok now. It's crazy.
I've been thinking about it too a lot of like, it's wild to see how heavily TikTok influenced all of social media in such a short amount of time. Because like TikTok and Musical.ly, which it was named before, have been around for a little bit, but I feel like it became public knowledge in like late 2019.
I feel like COVID really
and
like
COVID
helped
is where
it pop off.
Took off for sure.
Which is interesting because where did coronavirus originate?
China.
I'm spooked.
Yeah, it
is just oddly coincidental.
That is a little coincidental. I mean, hard to say there's any sort of correlation between a man getting bit by a bat and an app which at its beginning was about people like lip syncing and dancing. Right. But yeah, it is interesting to see that kind of a thing. But what I was going to say is it's wild that in 4 years since it, really started to begin, like, even if we say it started doing well in like mid 2019, which I think is probably fair to say. And then it really popped off in 2020. Like in the past 4 years, it has kind of changed how every social media operates.
Yeah, because like Reels on Instagram,
YouTube Shorts, TikTok has their own type of, like video scrolling now.
Apparently like Facebook Reels are where it's at now.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
It's like
because nobody is using it, but so then they push anything you post basically. Anyways, like Instagram kind of had that moment too in like 2014, 2015, where it was doing really well and everybody else followed suit and started pushing like photos in feed. Which is cool, but it's crazy to see that happening again. And in such a like different way. Yeah. So, which none of this is revolutionary. We've all heard this before because TikTok has been such a big deal, especially for like, I also wonder this, we're in Nashville and around like influencers and entertainment industry and the music industry and all this stuff. And TikTok is so constantly talked about within those because like all of the current music comes from TikTok artists.
So much of my favorite music I discovered on TikTok.
It all comes from TikTok. And, even when I worked at the label, it was constantly a conversation of like, how many TikTok followers do they have? Has it gone viral? Have they put in place a consistent pattern of creating these viral songs or whatever? And so it's interesting. I am always curious about like, if you lived in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, how often do you hear about TikTok compared to us, in Nashville, in these industries that use it all the time? But I do feel like it's obviously taken the whole country and world by storm, sort of. Yeah.
I would say like, I feel like in my day-to-day like scrolling, I don't see many creators from like smaller places.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's like they're still consuming, but maybe they're not taking part in the creating as much because it's not as prevalent there. It's not as like ingrained in society.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I see people all the time, like day in my life in my New York apartment. And like I see a lot of Nashville too. I see LA, obviously. And like,
which part of that comes down to like, we looked it up the other day. There's like what, 8.5 million people or whatever that live in New York City alone.
Yeah. So yeah, it is just like a bigger demographic, but like I don't really come across like creators that live in Wisconsin or like.
Yeah, true. But I
like
mean, at the same time,
like,
you have clients that live in like
Michigan.
And
yeah.
I follow a filmmaker from like somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Pacific Northwest, like somewhere in Oregon or Washington.
Yeah.
And so I think, I mean, like coming back to kind of what we were saying about TikTok revolutionizing social media again, is it's like kind of put the emphasis back on discoverability, which is super cool because that's kind of what Instagram was in its heyday, where like if you were good at taking photos, you could find a new audience of people that loved your photos.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, they lost that.
Yeah.
And Snapchat was kind of like that early on too. Also, I hear Snapchat is still kind of like the place to be.
Apparently.
I
deleted it the second I got in a relationship because.
Same. I know nothing about Snapchat. I have to do it for work sometimes and it always confuses me.
Yeah. I don't have the Snapchat app.
Yeah.
I don't keep up with that.
But I think that's one interesting thing about TikTok is like, I think we're going to see, assuming it doesn't get banned in the next like 2 weeks or whatever, see more of like people coming from the middle of nowhere, making feature films and being pop stars and being influencers that, live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess with all of that being said, let's talk about like our preferred social media platforms. Are you team Instagram or team TikTok?
I would probably toss in a third, probably team YouTube first, but I do love, like if I had to choose between Instagram and TikTok, it's TikTok for sure.
Yeah.
I post on TikTok way more than I post anywhere else.
Yeah. I think like before this year, I would have told you team Instagram, but it's because I wasn't like putting in the effort on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I just feel like you just have such a better chance of reaching people on TikTok than you do on Instagram. Like I feel like I do everything right on Instagram and things for me are performing worse than they ever have. I'm not reaching anybody. It's just like,
oh, it's so frustrating.
I like Instagram because like, I feel like that's where I'm most connected to people that I know. And I like updating on my life and I like posting things that look pretty. Like that's just something that I enjoy anyway. But that's not where I'm going to go to try and like reach new people or build a following. Like I feel like TikTok is the place to do that.
Yeah.
Because
it's weird. I feel like Instagram has become just a networking site for me where like if I want to have a conversation with someone,
go on Instagram and
it's
DM
in the
them.
Instagram DMs. But if I want to like find people or be inspired or like be entertained, anything like that, I go to TikTok. And if I want to learn or like research something, I go to YouTube. YouTube is like a search engine for me.
Yeah.
Which it's like the number 2 search engine in the world, just like right behind Google, which is nuts. But like if I'm looking up something about how to like what I want to buy or how I want to accomplish something creatively, whatever, YouTube. If I want to do anything else, I go to TikTok. And if I like someone enough on TikTok and I want to like be more like friends or like actually get to know them, I'll go to Instagram.
I do that too. I like it's funny, like I have a set like TikTok follower list that I like people that I follow.
Yeah.
But sometimes like I don't want that to carry over to Instagram. Like I want 2 separate things. But then there's sometimes like, I think I've told you about Emily Kaiser before. She has like taken the internet by storm because she is just like, She lives in Arizona. She does like daily vlogs, and like she just has a very consistent content pillar, so you always know what to expect from her. But she's so like real and just like your everyday girl that like she just feels like everybody's friend. And so she has gotten so huge. She gained like, I want to say like 1.8 million followers in a span of like a month or two.
Whoa.
Like now she's at 2 million now. And so, or she's probably closer to 3 million now. But she like took off on TikTok, and
that's crazy.
She's one of those that I was like, I want to follow her on Instagram too, because I want to see like her Instagram stories and like what she's doing.
Right.
But there are some people that I follow on TikTok and I'm like, I don't care to follow you on Instagram. Like it's not like that. And so that's kind of interesting too. Just like the reason, like what you view TikTok as versus what you view Instagram as, because I feel like Instagram is where I feel more like connected in day-to-day life. Even if I follow creators on TikTok that are posting multiple times a day, it's still just like, I feel like Instagram to me, because I get on it mostly for stories, I feel like. And I feel like it feels more in real time than TikTok. It's like, I feel like TikTok stories, like they're a thing.
Oh, yeah,
and like I see them, but yeah, I don't use them personally. I've used them a couple times, but I just like, nobody sees them really, I feel like.
I don't think, I think they just like put it in and like everyone was kind of like, that's not really what I use TikTok for.
Emily Kaiser uses them, and she does like, it's cool. Like she'll get on and just like talk about random things, and she'll be like, okay guys, like my Sunday reset vlog is coming. I just like have to do a few. So it's like interesting. She'll tell you about like she's playing, like she's still editing her video or like whatever. And so it's very like, you're very in the know about like what's coming up and like what you can expect from her, which is nice.
That's cool.
I hadn't
thought about that, because like for me, I post TikToks that I shoot with my camera. Yeah. But those take a while. Right. That's an interesting way to like still be posting content, but it's kind of like Instagram, where like you don't want to put lesser content in your main feed.
I feel like it's a really good way of like, because I feel like a lot of times TikTok, it's great, and like I always feel inspired on TikTok, but I don't necessarily always feel connected. And so I think the way she does it, it's like you feel inspired and connected, because like you'll see her Sunday reset video and you're like, oh, she told me this was coming. So like I was waiting for it, versus like when I post a Sunday reset video, people are like, oh, she posted, you know? Right.
Yeah. It's almost like,
I do want to utilize TikTok stories more, but I feel like that's just not necessarily what I get on TikTok for, but it does help you feel more connected, I think, to the people that you're
that's
following.
Almost, when you're using it like that, that's like a TV show, like putting out commercials, you know, like this week, the 2-hour season finale, you know, like that's essentially what a TikTok story is. Then if you're using it like that, you're saying like, oh, coming up.
I don't think a lot of people are using it like that though. Like I feel like
they should be.
I feel like Emily has really cracked the code with like figuring out how to make stories work for her. I haven't seen anybody else really do it like that. Like I'll see people post like a photo on their TikTok story, and I'm like, I don't care about that. I'll go to Instagram.
Yeah. What's the limit on a story? Is it 15 seconds? 60?
I don't know. I've only made a couple. I think it's the same as I think it's 60, honestly. I think it's the same as like a video, or not the same as a video, but
they only live for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm. But you can go back and see your archives, like same as Instagram.
Interesting.
But
me like coming up with 18 ideas about
it's just interesting. Like it's not what I get on TikTok for, but I get on Instagram for that.
Yeah.
It's like you get on TikTok for the main content and just happen to see the stories. But then on Instagram, I get on it for the stories and just happen to see the main, you know?
Yeah. It's like when people used to make like really curated, maybe they probably still do this, but like really curated stories. I used to do that a lot because I was trying to be like a photographer.
Yeah, it's still a thing.
It is, but like
I love the more like everyday type stories.
Yeah, though. I feel like TikTok is somewhere in between, where it's like it feels curated, kind of, but it also just feels like fun and like low stakes, and that's what's interesting about TikTok is you're like,
it's like the whole vibe is different
to make 18 TikToks in a day.
Whereas on Instagram, they're like, don't do too many. Like,
yeah, don't post more than like 5 times a week.
It's like, it feels like there's so many rules.
Don't post less. Yeah. TikTok or Instagram is so like, you have to have your content be of a certain caliber. Mm-hmm. You have to be posting 3 to 4 times a week. You have to be posting like 4 times a day on stories.
Yeah.
If you're not doing any of that, we're not going to show it to anyone.
That's another thing that I want to talk about is like the people that make a career out of social media, or the people that are like successful on social media, I get kind of frustrated because it's like, it's not really up to you whether or not you're successful. And that's what's so frustrating, is that like, I feel like
it's such a grind.
It is such a grind, but it's also like something that you can never be. There's not really a rhyme or reason, and it's completely dependent on what the people at Instagram or TikTok deem good content. You know what I mean? Because like they get to determine what gets pushed out. And like we've even seen things about how like on TikTok, people from TikTok have literally said like they can decide if something goes viral or not. And so like Alex Earl popped the frick off, and she's hot. And so somebody, like, I remember seeing like a video that was talking about how somebody from TikTok literally admitted that like they could determine sometimes what goes viral and what doesn't. And somebody commented and said somebody had a crush on Alex Earl and changed her entire life. Because like you look at her content, it's not strategic. It's not anything groundbreaking whatsoever, but she's hot.
Right.
And so it's just like super frustrating sometimes to me, because I feel like I don't necessarily, and this is not like a woe is me, like pity party type thing, but it's like, I feel like in every possible way, I am a completely average human, and that puts me at a disadvantage, because like, I'm not a minority, but I'm also not the hottest white person alive. I don't have like a special talent or anything. I post content that a lot of other typical white girls post. I'm not rich, so I can't post like really pretty like house content, because I don't have enough money to pay for that stuff. Because I feel like if you have a lot of money, you're more likely to pop off, because you have things that are desirable to other people that then the algorithms will push, because they're like, oh, people want to see this.
And you're able to like, even if it's something like unboxing content, you're able to like buy something new on Amazon every day and then have something to unbox every single day so that you can make more stuff, where it's like, that's not attainable for the rest of us. But it's also
like, I feel like another thing is that like, I think I have a good personality, like, okay, whatever, but it's not like a personality that's like internet sensation personality. Like, it's not like I could say something and people are like, oh my God, like that's hilarious. Like, she just is so witty. She's whatever. But I feel like, and so like when I look at people like Alex Earl, and I am not like shaming her or like shit talking her at all. Like, I follow her and I enjoy her stuff just because I feel like I've gotten to know her a little bit now, but it's not her personality, because it's a very average, normal personality to me. I don't look at her and think like, I am so captivated by what you're saying because of your personality. It's not that. It's not it's
that you've built a relationship with her.
Yeah, and it's because her content got shown to me because she popped off because she's hot. I'm sorry. But it's also
like when you build a relationship with someone, I interact with every piece of content you make because I have a relationship with you. I like your content and I like what you do.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with other people that maybe aren't huge creators, but
the first
see them all the time.
And the first step to that is like, algorithm has to push your content out to new people. Otherwise you don't even have that opportunity.
Right.
And so it's frustrating, like people that are trying to like rake into the industry, quote unquote. Like, you have to just hope that the algorithm will like you enough to do that, because you could literally like, I see some videos on TikTok sometimes that have like, I'll look over on TikTok and it shows like 5 likes or whatever. So I'm like, oh, it must not have that many views yet. But the video is like so good. And I'm like, okay, it's not because your content is bad. Like, and that's what's so frustrating is like people I'll see all the time. They're like, are your videos not getting seen? It's probably because your content isn't good. Like, take ownership for that. You know, like people will be like, just like, stop blaming it on the algorithm.
To that.
There is merit to that. But at the same time, it's like,
you can make great content and it'll never get seen.
Yeah. I'm like, because that's us.
100% real. Like that. Yeah, that happens all the time.
And you can make really shitty content, and it does. And so like, it just, there is legitimately no rhyme or reason, but we all just like keep trying because we know the benefits of like being successful on social media are like so great.
Yeah.
And so it is just like a frustration. And I feel like that's a way that like people, like the creators of these social media apps, like rope us in. It's to get us to like keep trying, because we see the people that are succeeding and doing really well, and we know that it's possible, and we just keep trying in hopes that one day it'll happen for us. And I feel like that just like keeps the cycle going, because like, I'm not going to stop being on TikTok. Like,
right. Also because like, I'm having a great time.
Yeah, no, it's like, really fun. I'm not saying like I'm just on it to make money.
Right.
But I feel like part of the reason that it's fun is because you know that it's possible for it to like turn into something else.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be grinding to put out content. We would just do it when we felt like it.
Of it doing well is what keeps us coming back.
Yeah, or the potential of it, because it's really not like a promise.
The possibility of something doing well is what keeps us, I guess I would say, posting, because I have hundreds of friends that just get on TikTok and never post anything.
Right, just for like the entertainment, which is in itself amazing. Like, I love doing that too.
Right. It's also weird. I don't know if you are like this. I have friends that'll send me things and I like intentionally won't watch it all the way through or interact with it because it's not about my niche.
And you don't want to end up on that side of TikTok.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with my algorithm, because that also affects who your stuff gets shown to.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. That's why like they say to start a new account. Because if you go through and you start liking rug cleaning TikToks, but you're not trying to...
Yeah, I never like them. I actually don't see them anymore on my TikTok, which I'm happy about. I see them on Facebook.
Yes.
The only things I see on Facebook are rug cleaning and hoof talk, or hoof book.
Hoof cleaning book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so random.
Yeah, that is very
That's
random.
another thing that I only get on Facebook for, though.
Yeah. I get like gaming walkthroughs, and I am not a gamer, but I do watch them because they're interesting. I also don't get on Facebook very much, but
yeah, I watch. So the mountain rug cleaning company or whatever. I see all their videos, and I see all of Nate the Hoof Guy's videos.
Nice,
and they're amazing.
Oh, I do get chiropractic videos on Facebook.
Those ones are good.
Those are great. I do.
That's
love
just
a good
so funny.
video.
Like, algorithms are funny, but yeah, I feel like, I don't know, the social media world is just so weird. But I will say, I've thought more about this lately. I'm so grateful that I got into social media when I did as a career, because I feel like it'll just keep being more and more valuable. And when I first started, people were like, oh, cute, you're a social media manager. But now I'm like, literally, social media is like the top industry, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
Because we're all a part of it in some capacity. Everybody, like even our grandparents, like everybody's on Facebook. And like,
I think it's the most like growing industry, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah.
Just because like it's only going to keep getting bigger. Because even looking at it from like a production side of things, commercials don't have the same merit they used to. They don't have the same wow factor. Like, unless you're doing Super Bowl commercials, most of the ways that people are advertising now is user generated content or influencer generated content. And most of the younger generations resonate way better with that than they do with a $20,000 commercial. Kind of sucks for me.
And like, you see those TikToks all the time. They're like, my boss was upset because like they paid $20,000 for ads that didn't do well, but I told him this would pop off, and it does. Like
some CapCut template of Pedro Pascal.
Yeah,
because he's eating a sandwich, telling people to stay silent. You name it, Pedro Pascal is the CapCut edit these days. Yeah, which I'm here for.
It's fun.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you see that. I see that 15 times a day of like some major brand using a CapCut template that has 250,000 likes. And they're like, and a lot of them are funny, and like me, a social media manager for this giant company, trying to convince. Or
it's like, please like this because I have a meeting with my boss in a few minutes and I told him this would go viral or something like that. Like, it just adds like a really fun, like human element to brands that I think is like so unprecedented, and like, it's like, just so unexpected. Relatable and fun. Yeah. So I do feel like that is like, I think there's like
a whole new wave of like social media managers of major corporations having like almost a character to them. It's kind of like,
and almost like the face of the brand, which is cool.
It's like Flo from Progressive was the face of Progressive for forever. Geico had the gecko. Nowadays, I think for our generation, you have like
the social media
manager of whatever company, which is pretty entertaining.
Social media is wild, people.
Yep. I don't really know where we're going with this.
I think we just wanted to chat about social. I feel like people who know us and listen to the podcast have asked a lot about us doing more like industry related episodes. And I feel like true. We try to steer clear of that sometimes because we don't want this to be like just a podcast about like our jobs, because we already do our jobs every day. Yeah. But obviously like we do things that we are passionate about. And so it is fun to talk about sometimes, especially because like social media. There's just so many facets to it and like just so many things that you could talk about. So we'll probably try to incorporate more things like this sometimes. But I feel like with the TikTok trial happening right now, it was like a good time to chat.
It was a good time.
Social media things. We would love to get your thoughts on anything we talked about.
Yeah. I will say, like, we both started new accounts this year. And that has been kind of eye-opening for both of us to, like, try to get something off the ground.
Yeah.
And just, like, see how that goes. I don't know. I'm, like, thankful for it. It's all so weird.
Ty, whatever you're doing with your toes is really weirding me out right now.
Okay. I can take them off.
I just got annoyed at your toes. That's all.
I was just saying it is interesting seeing like the barriers of entry for different things, like us getting into the Amazon influencer program. That stuff cracks me up because we're not influencers, but also we wouldn't mind it.
What would make us an influencer?
I don't know.
Then why are you saying we're not?
All right. Maybe if people started buying stuff that we recommended, then I would be like, all right, I guess we're some form of micro.
We've both had that happen though. People have bought from us.
You've had people buy stuff. I haven't really had anyone buy anything.
Well, you haven't really tried to sell anything. But
yeah, I never try to like tell people to go buy stuff. I just am like, I'll just link stuff randomly on like YouTube videos that get 200 views. So I guess I haven't really tried.
Yeah, I feel like
but also the stuff that I link is like very random. It's not random. It's just like filmmaking stuff. So people aren't going to get it, you know? Nobody following me is like, oh, I'm going to go get that. But now I will say, because of TikTok, there's a bunch of people following me on TikTok that I have never met that follow me because of filmmaking, which is crazy and super kind. Very excited about that. There's actually a possibility of them buying gaff tape because I linked it or whatever. And that's kind of encouraging. I don't know how to like lean into that yet, but I think for both of us, that would be like the goal for this year.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was kind of a tangent, but I don't know. I think social media is obviously, like we said, only going to get more interesting, and hopefully we can make money off social media someday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very real possibility for everyone.
Yeah.
Like literally everyone has a chance at making money on social media. It's just a matter of like if you want to do that or not.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like you shouldn't be on social media with like the sole intention of making money, but it is nice to know that that's like a possibility.
Yeah, I would agree.
That is very attainable. So
yeah.
All right. Well, Cooper he's
on one.
And Ty's being mean.
He's just on one.
You're
He's
rolling
annoying.
your eyes at him.
I am.
Stop.
Being annoying.
He's a bunny.
Yeah. But also we're trying to record.
He doesn't
know. And that does bug me.
He doesn't know that.
I know, but
he's a bunny.
If you were trying to work right now, you'd be annoyed too.
I am working right now.
That is true.
Dick.
Anyways.
Thanks for listening, guys. Let us know your social media thoughts. I love talking social media with people.
Yeah, same here, honestly.
And
we could probably talk about this for hours and we would just be vibing. But
yeah, and let us know if you guys want more episodes like this or if there's any specific social media topics that would be interesting for us to talk about.
Yeah.
And we'll consider.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media.
Okay.
If you'd like to follow us.
Nice.
Let them know.
Segue. You can follow us on Instagram or YouTube at wdym pod or on TikTok at wdym podcast. Both of our personal TikToks, Instagrams will be in the show notes. Also, if you feel like talking to us, there's a Google form in our show notes as well.
Yeah.
And you should definitely fill it out and tell us your stories.
Use that as you wish, but please don't bully us because we'll cry.
Yes.
All right.
That's all we got. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.